Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan. Thad was on the show, but he's not on the intro. But today we had on Scott Bidwell. He is the general manager for Dallas Plumbing, a 120-year-old organization down in the Dallas area. Surprise, surprise. But Scott ran a company himself, grew it up to, you hit your $15 million mark, right, in September 2020?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so grew a company to 15 million, sold that, exited there, was brought in as a general manager for Dallas Plumbing, and has now completely turned that organization around as well. We had a fantastic episode diving into so many different topics about that transition, about running a company and what all that takes. Scott, what were some of your favorite nuggets from this episode?
Just we talked about KPIs and management and leading a team, making sure that everybody's in line for a successful environment. And I think those are real key points. Golden nuggets, man, a lot of them.
There was a ton in this episode. I truly, you're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, you've been around the industry for a minute, from a service tech back in 2006, maintenance tech in 2006 to where you're at now. I really love talking about the culture aspect, leading people. You hired them for a reason. So how can we help them to make great decisions for the organization? I think your process around that was fantastic. We talked about projections as well for 2024 and what's coming up, and how you can set yourself up for success as a business, and the secret to making sure that your dispatch board is full week in and week out, whether the calls are coming in or not.
I say three words to that: outbounding, outbounding, outbounding. Super important.
Very important. And I love that part of the conversation. And then also vetting vendors. It doesn't matter if it's a coach, a marketing company, a software company. Do they fit your organization and how it is that you work? And Scott walked through some questions that you need to ask them. We definitely want to hear from you, for the listeners as well. So leave a comment down below. What was your favorite part of the episode? And now a quick word from our sponsors, and enjoy the show.
We wouldn't be able to do our podcast without our sponsors, and in no particular order. A new one, Coach to Close, Elite Call, CHIIRP, and On Purpose Media. So, Evan, hit us with the readouts.
You got it. So, of course, we've got CHIIRP, one of our most loyal sponsors that we've had for a long time. Transform your home service business with CHIIRP. They're the ultimate automation toolbox. Capture more leads, connect instantly, skyrocket your sales. CHIIRP integrates seamlessly with platforms like ServiceTitan, Housecall Pro, and Sarah. Automate your texts, your emails, even ringless voicemails, boost your Google reviews, and your customer loyalty. And when we look at the season that we're heading into right now, especially in the HVAC trade, having a properly done, properly executed outreach program is going to be essential to succeeding here in the spring. So reach out to CHIIRP, and using our particular code, chirp.com/HSSR, you get 25% off your first 3 months. So reach out to them today and book your demo and get your discount, because everybody loves free shit. There we go. My whole screen went black there for a second. Next up, we got Coach to Close, our newest sponsor of the show. We've had their sister company on, Free to Grow, several times on the episode talking about CSRs, but they have launched a new segment of their business, Coach to Close, which is dealing with call-by-call management. Your technicians, they have daily opportunities not only to fix problems, but significantly enhance a business's profitability. We all know technicians are techs. They're there to repair. They're there to service. They're there to take care of the customer. They're not salespeople. Without the right approach, these opportunities are just slipping away. So you want to have a comprehensive onboarding process, which Coach to Close has. They've got personalized support in all aspects, exceptional expertise and readiness to assist, significant revenue growth. In fact, one of their first customers that they brought on increased their average ticket from $600 to $1,500. Truly remarkable after only 5 weeks. Tremendous growth there. They have a transformative impact on your business. So you want to make sure that you reach out to them today, coachtoclose.com, to get a very comprehensive, detailed look into your business and what it is that you've got going on and how they can assist you.
Sounds like the worth the price of admission right there.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Well, I guess first we've got Elite Call. On Purpose Media is last. Elite Call is a US-based call center champion for the home service industry. For over 20 years, they've been assisting with outbounding databases and filling dispatch boards with lucrative service and sales opportunities, boosting memberships like nobody's business, which again, heading into the shoulder season, incredibly important for your business. Their dedicated teams don't just make calls, they directly integrate appointments into your CRM, giving you seamless experience. Don't let your competition get ahead. Let Elite Call connect with your customers today. Visit elitecall.net to learn more. And last, we've got those guys from On Purpose Media. You can enhance your online presence with On Purpose Media, your go-to home service marketing expert for everything web design, SEO, and PPC. You want to make sure that you're showing up online. You want to make sure that people are converting from your website to actual book calls on your job board. Visit onpurposemedia.ca to go ahead and get your lead generation powerhouse in order.
All right. Well, without further ado, we'll see Scott.
I'm out of breath.
We'll see Scott on the other side.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Scott,
What's up?
welcome,
Cheers.
my friend.
Cheers. I don't have the drink, but hey.
I have one of
You're
those.
still in the shop.
I have one of those too. Just beer first.
I don't. I've got truly the most Canadian whiskey you can have with maple syrup mixed into it. So it's quite delicious.
That sounds good.
It's really good. Really good.
Might have to hit one of those tonight.
Well, Scott, why don't you give us the rundown? How did you get to where you are at? What was it that initially attracted you to the trades and becoming a maintenance tech?
Money. I was actually doing quite well at a company called Card Service International in Arizona. I was just phone sales basically, and my older brother, had gotten a job at a maintenance company or at a HVAC company doing maintenance, and he started killing it right off the bat, and just saw the potential and decided to make a jump.
Love it.
No fairy tale dreams or anything like that. It's not like daddy used to do it and I held the flashlight or anything like that. It was just stumbled into it, man, to tell you the truth.
No, that's fine. It's honest, right? And that's what we're all about. So you got into the trade now. You're a maintenance tech. Took you 4 years before launching the company. Why did you start your first company?
Well, all along, right when I started, I had like 2 days of training in the field, and at the time I didn't even know what a thermostat was. But all along, when I was coming into it, it's like, man, this is easy. And I was just selling like day one, and it just came natural to me. And throughout the entire, I was there for 2.5 years, working at that company. I worked from maintenance tech to comfort advisor, and all of that in between. Not really a service tech by trade or anything like that. I never got into the nuts and bolts of it. I just enjoy selling it. But the sales part of it was a driven. I was always driven. And before that, my brother and I had a landscaping business, so we kind of always worked for ourselves. So I was like, man, I think I could do this. And at the previous job, I was working in a call center basically. So I was like, why don't we just do this? We'll start up a call center, and just determined we could do it. We tried a small little business for a minute, and it didn't work. And we went back to work for a different company. And it was actually the guy that I was working for. He was trying to buy this other company, and he was using me. He was like, hey, why don't we buy this and you can run that company? I was like, fantastic. Sounds like a dream. Well, he backed out of that deal, but I still stayed in contact with the guy who owned Solar Bear at the time. And he had just started a year ago and was struggling, couldn't get off the ground. So anyways, through our conversation, I said, look, I don't have any money. I can't buy the company like what we were talking about, but we can make something happen. So we made something happen, and we got off the ground. Right? It was April of 2010 is when we opened our doors officially as the owners of the company.
Love it. And so you ran that company then. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Then.
No. So like it's funny because you have you had the business experience, then you went back into work for somebody. Now you're back to being a business owner, and then back to, from what I understood from the intro, to helping run a company. A lot of people don't have necessarily the running the business skill to start. They go straight from tech to running the business, and there's got to be some learning curves along the way. What would you say would be your top one or two things if somebody were to be going from transitioning in the field to running a business that they should look at?
The first thing is know your numbers, and just like the four sponsors you had, you kind of run down the whole business operation right there with those sponsors, and it's surrounding yourself with the right people, get the knowledge and get it as early as you can. Like I said, a technician, they don't know how to run a business, and there's a lot to running a business that is more than just, let me go turn some wrenches and sell some stuff. You got to do the marketing. You got to figure out the bookkeeping. You got to figure out all the taxes and regulations and all the hoops that you can and can't jump through to get to where you need to be. And it's again, back to learning how to communicate with the customers and stay in contact with them through different levels of marketing. Have a good coaching program that would help you. That would be the first thing I would do. It starting over is start with a coaching program way earlier in the industry. And then get with a good marketing team to get your name out there and get a brand going.
Oh, well, on-purpose media for your marketing team, that's an easy layup. The coaching program, though, 'cause there's a lot out there, right? You look at, and I'm not going to name any names just because I don't want to leave anybody out, and they might be watching and they might get mad. Looking at analyzing coaching programs and taking a deep dive through them, if you were to look at things that you want to know or things that you want to ask the coaching program before you give them your money, what would some of those things be?
Well, first and foremost, you got to make sure that they're a good fit. You can't get into bed with any vendor or organization that is not a good fit. And if just like we're sitting here having a conversation, if I can't do that with somebody I'm trying to get into bed with, and it's obviously not going to work out. There are some of them out there, some coaching companies that are very, very professional in their approach, and I'm not that person. I'm not that run it by the book and all of that. So that's definitely one, is make sure they're a good fit. Questions to ask. I mean, there's so many, but everybody's going to look for, I think a lot of people anyways are going to look for the quick fixes. And I think that's the worst approach. I think it's take small bits, and you want to find somebody who's talking that type of language. Anybody who's saying, "Hey, I'm going to turn your business over overnight and be a 5-star Google tomorrow morning on Google," that's pie in the sky stuff. And you want to make sure that they're not talking to you with pie in the sky type attitude.
Yeah, not blowing smoke up your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's funny because you mentioned the like I wrote down, there's no silver bullet, and I think a lot of business owners at shit, look what's going to come in 2024. They're going to look for it. They're going to want it. They're going to say, "Oh, what's this magic pill that's going to drastically change my business overnight?" There isn't one.
There is not one. You should have been working on that magic pill for the last 3 years, building up to this point. Because we all went through it. I mean, I was in the industry in 2008, and when the market crashed, and that's kind of where we're at. And that's what everybody's talking about. It's like this year was the build up to it, and this year is the crash is what the big market fear is, right? And the companies that make it through are the companies that put those processes in place ahead of time. And they capitalize, like you were talking about with one of the sponsors. They're capitalizing on memberships and capitalizing on recapturing your own customers, because look, people are going to be afraid to jump ship during a volatile market. And when I say jump ship, I mean jump ship from what they're comfortable with from another company. So they're going to continue to go after, if my system breaks, I'm going to go after that. I'm not going to be seeking new ventures. And that's the same. I mean, that's kind of where the economy is at too. People are going to not seek new ventures with their money. And that's what's going to tighten the market and obviously cause some issues.
Well, and that's interesting. We had Matt Michelle on when we were down in AHR, and I'm really excited for that episode to release, because it was a great conversation around projections into 2024. And one of the things that he talked about was, during tightenings of the economy, whether that's a recession, a crash, or whatever the fuck you want to label it, doesn't matter. It's a tightening, it's a contraction. People will spend money on affordable luxuries.
Yep.
They'll go buy their Starbucks, right? Because it feels like I'm doing something good for me, and it only cost me $5, $6, $7. When it comes to home comfort, how can you position the product in such a way where it's going to appeal to them in that way and make it as affordable as possible?
Well, I'm sure that you've heard a lot of people talking about, the Band-Aid repairs versus a permanent solution. And, yeah, absolutely. But the biggest way to position it is to make sure that you're prominent, you're able to offer both and not just be one-sided. There's a lot of companies out there that are just 100% focused on equipment replacement. That's all they go to. And there's companies out there that, they don't do the services, and that's not what their focuses are. And being able to train and teach your technicians to go in with the mentality and not have blinders on, and be able to go, hey, you know what? I got your Starbucks option, and I got your top of the line option, and everything in between. There's back to coaching companies. There's coaching companies out there that tell you to present 6 different options, and it's all backed by study data and things like that, and it's great. And it goes from basic economical repairs all the way up to the most premium option and most permanent solution that they could buy, which is everything that you have to offer. And it's being able to train your technicians and not just your technicians, to tell you the truth, it's your entire staff. Your dispatchers have to know it. Your call center has to know it. Your managers have to know it. Everybody in between has to know how to develop and treat those customers like that, to where you can give them those options and not paint them into corner to make them feel like you're kind of like the Starbucks side. Hey, this is the best I can afford, or I'm doing this because it's something affordable for me. But if if you go to certain people and you say, hey, this may be out of your budget, you're putting a bad, feeling in there towards that situation. And, you got to be able to manage that whole process and train, teach, coach, manage all of that stuff with the technicians.
So what kinds of conversations do you have with your team to help reframe their own perspective or their own experience when it comes to spending, when it comes to what they're doing with their money versus a customer, and presenting options so that a customer can decide?
Man, I train my team to buy like you're trying to. You gotta be what you're trying to sell. So you can't sell a VIP product and you can't sell a BMW and be a Yugo shopper, right? It's just not gonna be the greatest of fit. Now, some people can do that. They'll have that mindset of to be able to do that. But really, it's training the mindset. You hit it on the head there. What is the mindset? You just have to shift that mindset. It's like take the blinders off, and that's the hardest thing. You said it. I don't know if it was in the intro or what, but the technicians go out to repair, and that's what it is. But in reality, you're there to provide a service. They brought you out there for a service, not just to fix their system, but to do so many other things for them. And that's what sets apart those people that are going to succeed in the industry.
Right. Well, it's understanding that their money isn't your money, and also knowing that. And when you talk about giving the options, it's good, better, best. When you can do the good, better, best, or even you can show repairs or you can show install prices, now you're giving them the power to choose. The customer, that is, right?
Correct.
And understanding your techs need to understand that as well.
Correct. Well, not spending your own money. That's conversation you do have to have with techs, like especially the ones that are afraid to say, it's a $500 capacitor. Well, and I know this because they're thinking of the customer's mindset. It's a $5 part. Okay, well, you're not spending. Stop spending your money. You're not spending your money. Go out there and take that mindset. You got to fix that mindset. It's honestly, it's very hard to do sometimes.
Well, and as a technician, you don't understand the full. I was just going to point out really quick. As a technician, you don't understand the full expenses of running a business. You don't have to buy the truck, insure the truck, outfit the truck, insure the business, pay the rent. Like all of those other things go into that $5 part, which helps pay to run the business so that you can deliver an exceptional experience and replace that part.
It's funny because I was about to say the exact same thing, but but also like follow up with the part of what's your thoughts on open book policy, or at least educating your team on all the, you don't have to go to the exact numbers, right? But understanding to know, okay, well, we charge $1,000 for this, whatever repair, right? I'm just going to use round hole numbers to let them know that, oh, the owner's not making, they think about their salary, and if it takes them an hour and they're earning $100 an hour, well, there's $900 that the owner's making. But taking that backwards and actually walking them through exercises on all the expenses that go into a business. Have you ever done that before? And if so, or if not, if so, why should more people do it? And if not, how come we didn't do it?
So that's funny. Is one of the things that I had to do here was reframe. Everybody here was used to selling. It was an hourly company, hourly plus parts. That's how they charge for the last 103 years or 120 years. So I had to break that mentality. And yes, I've done it. I've done it here. I did it at my company. And whenever you have the Dowdy Mustafas about pricing and this and that, it's like, hey, I tell you what, I understand. I understand you're charging a lot of money, and I understand that it seems like it's a lot. But let's go through this process. And I actually learned this from one of the coaching programs that I dealt with. It's called a one truck exercise. And it's literally, I have it on a piece of paper, and I sit down with them and say, hey, congratulations, Thaddeus, today you own your own business. Go ahead and put your name of your business down. Go ahead, give your business a name, Thaddeus Home Comfort or whatever, And I just start listing off expenses. Hey, what do you think? The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a truck to go out and run calls, right? So what does your truck cost? Some people are the frugal guys. They're like, I'm going to buy a 2001, whatever, Chevy van, and the rest of some of them are, I'm going to buy the best of the best on the market. It's like, fantastic. How much does that truck cost? Put it down, and then, divide it by 12. And, you go through all of that stuff. And at the end, because you're basically coming up with your billable hour at the end of that conversation. It's like, you start asking people, all right, what's your billable hour? What's your billable hour? And these guys, they're having numbers. They'll come up with numbers going through that process that are 3 times what we're charging. It's like, okay, now you see what it costs to run a business, and I'm not even charging you. I'm charging a third of what you're trying to charge. So go out there and sell some shit.
But that's even a better exercise, in my opinion, than open book policy. And I also agree with the part of showing some of the numbers or percentages and breaking it down so they understand all the things that go into it. And we have the same thing with our team. Hey, if you ever want to have questions about running a business, hit us up. We're an open book, right? In fact, I do, Evan. I run an episode of me being away for like a week and a half. I've been taking lots of copious notes. But the other exercise there too is now, and this goes back to the Cutco days, right? When Evan and I used to sell Cutco and taught people Cutco, well, now we had to go through an exercise of teaching 19-year-olds the value of a $1,500 set of knives. 19-year-old wasn't spending $1,500, right? Oh, well, you got hosed. You must have got the ultimate set, right? But the idea is like, okay, well, and it's the whole reframing, and I love that exercise. I think more people need to go through something like that, and it's probably part of the coaching program as well. But if not, maybe just hit up Scott. He'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah, that's so the one truck exercise, and you mentioned the open books. I am absolutely now. I don't think I need to worry about, or not. I don't know, not to worry about, but I don't think it's great to try to teach technicians and dispatchers and managers all of the line items on a P&L. But it's not necessary. It's not knowing the numbers. It's knowing what the numbers do, and it's knowing why they're there. So that's what I think a lot of people fail or lack in management or development in their leadership skills is having people and teaching people the whys. It's great to snap down and say, hey, you got to run this call by call process, and you're going to do it. Well, if you don't know why and what it affects, then you're going to you're going to fight that process. But once you know the whys, you peel back that onion and you show them, hey, I'm having you do this because 6 months from now, 8 months from now, a year from now, when this customer calls in with an issue, we have this record. That's why we take these notes. That's why we put all these pictures in here. We all get sued, right, at some point in time, and it's never the call you ran yesterday that you have the highest recollection of. It's something that pops up 2 years ago that you were out there and you did something and whatever happened, right? And then now they're trying to come after you for new equipment or whatever the thing is. And if you have your notes, then and of course you have to trust your process of your technicians. But if you have those notes, and that's why it's like, look, it's not I'm wanting you to do all these notes today. It's because when that happens 2 years from now, I want to be able to look back at this and say, okay, there's a clear indication of exactly what happened, what you did. Here's pictures, and it protects us there from liabilities, as well as just for future purposes, looking at future sales opportunities.
Yep. Well, that's Jocko Willink talks about that in his books, right? It doesn't matter any of the three. He talks about it in all of them. The idea of making sure that your troops, your team understands why it is that they're going to do what they're going to do. If they don't have that why behind it, they're never going to move forward for you. So I love that. Staying on the 2024 subject, what do you foresee? What are you preparing for at Dallas Plumbing for 2024? What are you expecting? What are you projecting? What are some of your goals even, so that you guys can come out on top?
So my biggest belief is we don't participate. So we shut out the noise. I mean, it's exactly what I did at one source with COVID. I mean, we grew at one source. We literally doubled our size that year, and it was just because we just didn't participate. We didn't, turn off the negative crap, get it out of your mind, and this is what we're going to do, and we'll figure out how we're going to get there after we've already got there. Then I can look back and tell you how we got here. But I have no intention of slowing down. I have no intention. In fact, I'd love to double the size of the company. Unfortunately, I don't have full access and control over the marketing spends and all of that stuff. But that's my goal here. So I have my current budget is at about $13.5 million this year. It's like 10% over what it was last year, and I'd like to see us end at about 16 to 17 million. And my managers are the ones that came up with that number. So that wasn't just me. So I heavily have them participate in. This is I already know what I want to do, but I want you to tell me what we're going to do, and through that conversation, we built our own personal budget ourselves, so we know what we're tracking to do. But
walk through that. Can you walk through that? Go deeper into that. Getting your team involved in the goal setting and the planning, having them buy into the goal. What does that process look like?
And even the part too of them coming up with their numbers, even though you have your own numbers. I like that.
So, I mean, a lot of it is looking at historical data and then projecting towards the future, right? I mean, I literally, I go through, I live my life, I'm kind of like, what is it, Fast and Furious? I live my life 90 days at a time, one quarter at a time, not a quarter mile, but a quarter of a year. And that's literally what, I'm always 90 days ahead of the team. And in other words, I'm looking right now, I'm looking at what's going on in April, May, June, as opposed to focusing on what's going on today. I expect them to focus on today while we're going through the motions. So through that, we have our daily management huddles, things like that with my team, and we go through the numbers, and it's like, okay, this is what I thought you were supposed to do. What did you do? And then I'll start teaching and showing them, hey, this is how I came up with my number. Look at the if you know your closing percentages, your average tickets, things like that, it's all numbers. And as long as we create the opportunities, and if the opportunities aren't there, then we have to find ways to create the opportunities. So if we're not given the opportunity, we have to make the opportunity. But it's looking through those numbers, knowing those numbers, and using that to predict what's going to happen today. If I know my average ticket's $1,500, then I count my calls on the board times $1,500. There's my number for the day, right? And then, how many of those are going to flip into leads? Then how many of those you're going to convert? How many of those you're going to? So it's knowing that information. And that's why I think the open book is huge, because they have to know that information. You can't manage or lead a team without having that knowledge and, all of that stuff. So I think it's just kind of a combination of all of it, having them have that knowledge and understanding of what those numbers are, and what levers to pull to affect each of those numbers whenever you need to, right? Like I said, if you don't have the calls on the board in the morning, well, guess what? I still need $25,000 today. Find it. You got to go dig for it somewhere. And it's kind of all of that. So knowing their capabilities, going back to the question, knowing their capabilities, I say, okay, guys, this is what you did last year. And I go through, I say, for instance, typically companies look for about a 15%, year over year growth, right? That's kind of like the standard, right? I don't know I know there's some that are shooting higher, some are shooting lower. Some don't even know what they're shooting for. They're just letting it happen. But when you go through, set your goals, set your budgets, like this is historically, so I share what the averages are. this is what we did. And I don't think you guys are basic bitches. And I don't think you guys think you're basic bitches. So what do you think you're going to do? And well, no, the same thing with the one truck exercise. Like, what are you going to do? And they put it down. It's like, okay, how much are you going to commit to that? This is not just we're not just picking a number. If you're going to say you're going to do it, we're going to do it. And we're going to collectively come to those numbers together as a team. And once we have that, it's like, all right, you sure that you're going to do it? Evan, you're going to do it? Great. Let's go. That's our budget. And that's how we get to those numbers. It's really just a collective, collaborative, conversation, making sure that they have a reward to what if we hit this goal, and then we also have to have a leverage if we don't. And I'm a person, again, this is terminology straight from one of my coaching programs, but I adapted that a lot of his mentalities, and I really do live a lot of the ways I was taught through him. But literally, look, if I set a goal, I'm going to set it to the point where I know I'm going to hit it, because if I don't, I'm willing to cut off my left arm if I don't. That's my leverage. And that's something that I try to instill within the teams. Like, look, we were going to set goals, but we're going to set goals that you can hit. They're going to be smart goals, and we're going to go to it. Now all we got to do is push everybody in that direction, get everybody the culture. Yeah, that's one of the things that earlier we were talking to. I'm big on culture, and it's having everybody on the boat rowing in the same direction.
I do want to get into the culture talk perhaps after the random question generator. When you go to the budget and looking at those, and I love the goals, I love the smarter goals too. I'm a big fan of those. When you was it specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound? That's the smarter goals. For those who are wondering, just Google it and you'll find it. When you look at your budget and going back to it, how often are you revising and adjusting your budget?
So I have my budget that's given to me by my corporate office, and I run that, and usually anything I'm projecting is going to be higher than what they're giving me, so I'm automatically hitting their numbers. I'm looking at it daily. That's the first thing in the morning. I come in and I look at what my pace is. I look at what we did yesterday, what our each department pace is to our budget, and if what we're tracking, and that projects what the conversations for the day will be. Is, hey, we're behind budget, we're above budget, great. Let's move this. So we start making chess moves based off of that. I don't think you can ever get that kind of achievement without just constantly looking at those numbers. And the more of the numbers you look into, you start to see more of the cause and effect of what it does in the long run.
So let's peel that back a little bit too. So let's say you're maybe 3 different stages of a company. The under $1 million, the $1 million to $5 million, or the $5 million and up. What are the numbers that you're looking at each of those stages to know the pulse of your company? Because at the end of the day, when you're 5 million and up and where you're at 10 million, you've got leaders in your organization who are also looking at numbers that are specific to their departments. When you're at under $1 million, you are the leader and you might only have a couple of technicians. So how do those numbers change and evolve as you continue to grow?
I don't think they do. The numbers stay the same. You just have more people and more support that you have to pay for. So as I hire 2 technicians, I have to increase my revenue by that, which means I have to increase my marketing, you have to increase everything together as you grow. There's certain formulas. I've always thought 4 technician, 1 sales guy, 2 install crews, right? And for every 4 technicians, 1 sales guy, 2 install crews, I need a manager or a leader, not necessarily a manager. People misuse the word manager, but there's got to be somebody above that. So whether that be me or another appointed person, but as you grow and evolve, that's kind of the formula I've always used. And I know I've always done most of my business historically has come from outbound calling. I haven't waited for my phone to ring. I've been very aggressive in my approach of getting calls, so I was able to control a lot more of my predictability. But for every 4 technicians, I needed to have 8 callers on the phone, and it's all numbers. And at 4 technicians, 1 sales guy, and an install crew, you're probably at a $3 million run rate right there. And so for every 4 you need, then you just kind of step up, just like any org chart or any military organization or whatever. It's like you got 4 soldiers, you need a leader, you need a first sergeant, you got a first sergeant, you need a commander, you got a commander, you need a general, and it just rolls up that way as you transition through the times. I don't think the numbers change because you still got to run a call. You got to track your average ticket, your conversion rate, and those sort of things. You got to know those numbers. And once you know those numbers, then it's just a matter of, well, for instance, again, back to averages. If the average conversion rate is 85 and I'm converting at 60, well, I have room to improve there before I ever focus on anything else.
Right.
But once I get there, and once I'm meeting those metrics or KPIs that I set for myself or we set for the company, then I know the only next thing I can do is add more calls. And once I add more calls, I got to add another tech. And once I got, then it's just stair stepping it up that way.
That makes sense. For anybody, rewind about a minute and a half, a minute and 45 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. So depending on when you're listening, there's a little circle on the bottom left-hand side. It'll go back either 15 seconds or 30 seconds. Just hit that a few times. Listen to the part where he said he didn't wait for his phone to ring. Most of his success came from outbounding. That's gold right there. Like, that is worth listening to this entire fucking podcast. Is that nugget right there? Well, dude, it was coming up in 2024, right? Hey, if you can't do it yourself, there's 3 sponsors that are on here that can. Super important. I want to play pretend here for a second, just because I'm in Cancun and while I was on the beach playing sandcastles today with my kid.
Absolutely.
Okay, I was trying to build him. He kept destroying him. It was a love-hate relationship.
Who are you hating?
The fact that I couldn't build my damn sandcastles. Today,
he was getting bullied by some 6-year-old
right,
on the beach.
Right? Yeah, 2.5-year-old kid just screaming, I want to take the sandcastles. I want to stomp them. Anyways, if you're on a beach somewhere, what are your 3 metrics as a business owner that you want to see every single day to measure the success of your business?
So, conversion rate, average ticket, obviously.
You want to see those daily or weekly or monthly or quarterly?
So these are to gauge the overall success of your business and the health of your business, right? And so for me, like, if I'm sitting here, I want to know, okay, do we have any new sales? Do we have for our marketing agency, right? It's like new sales coming in, lost clients that are going out, and revenue where we're at, and maybe collections.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of the daily check-in that I do in the morning. It's the same thing, I guess. What did we do yesterday in sales and revenue? What's projected to go in today, and how does that match our budget run? That's really what we check in every day with. So, I mean, if I was in Cancun right now, right alongside of you, that's what I'd be focused on. What did we do yesterday? Where are we at? What do we have going in the ground today? And what do we need to do? Like, for instance, if I start the day and I've got, if my run rate is supposed to be at $30,000 for the day, and you tell me you've got $10,000 going in, it's like, okay, what are we going to do to get some same day work to fill that $20,000 gap? So it's having that, having that knowledge and focusing on that. So, because you can never get a revenue, you can never make up a lost revenue day. So if my daily goal is $30,000 and I fall short of that goal, then I can't make that up. You can't make it up. I can sell more tomorrow, but I could have sold more tomorrow by increasing, and it still had that increased revenue day yesterday, right? But yeah, I think those are those two conversations, and then kind of back what you said is like where are we tracking, and day to day from a business standpoint, I don't think I've ever tracked like number customers lost or things like that. I just overall we're going to lose X amount of customers every month here and there. That's just going to happen. They're going to go shop at Joe's Heat 'em and Cheat 'em or whatever other businesses up the road.
No, totally, and that's
right.
Where our
Sorry.
business
The customers thing was on our business. Yeah. So I think I'm lagged my internet.
I think those are the big metrics. I mean, if I was out of the office for an extended period of time, like even a week, then obviously what I'm going to look at is going to change a little bit because it's how are we trending? How what is those trends, and how am I what are making sure that the managers are focused on the same thing that we're focused on daily.
Makes sense to me.
And
Sorry, I was trying to fuck around with my light here because it's flashing and fluttering and all that kinds of shit. So it's all good. I'll just
It's
blame
okay.
it
At
on the
least
whiskey.
your internet didn't go Mexico there.
Exactly.
Anyways, random question generator brought to you by On Purpose Media. You never want a homeowner DIY their furnace repair or air conditioner. So why are you still building your own website? Leave your marketing to the experts at On Purpose Media. I love that. That was good. That was a good one, Stacy. All right, Scott, we're going to read off. Well, actually, we don't even read off the questions. You get to choose. What question do you want? Do you want us to give you the random question 1, 2, or 3?
so it's either random question 1, random question 2, or random question 3. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
You got
Let's go with I like to be on the top, so let's go number 3.
What would it be if you could only eat one cuisine for the rest of your life? What food would it be? One cuisine.
The random. Okay, let's go with number. Don't you? The
it.
random TikTok question is like, everybody says tacos or pizza, right? It's steak. I'm a steak man. Give me an 8-ounce ribeye for every meal.
I had a ribeye last night. Sadly, it wasn't an Alberta beef level, or probably what you get down in Texas. But it was not bad for Mexican standards.
The cows are a little lean down there, or what?
Yeah, it's not go there. Nothing I say will be good. No, I joke. This actually wasn't bad beef. So they're not a typical North American beef. So I want to get into the culture part because you mentioned, we've alluded to it a few times. We talked about it. You're the culture ninja, as the sales ninja has alluded to. And I think the part that I want to kind of get in and hone in on is how can somebody coming in, and I know we're keeping on this 2024 wavelength, but making sure that your culture is sound and making sure that people in your team aren't going to be panicking. Some people probably are going to be panicking because they've heard about it. And I still reference the Matt Michelle. It's 3% contraction in the market is considered a major recession, right? So it's not a huge number when you think about 3%. I mean, obviously trillions and trillions it is, but what are you doing and what can people do to help, I guess, team morale as it comes into what's going to be a tight season?
Well, love your people and say what you're going to do and do what you're going to do what you say. I think that's super important. I think a lot of us as leaders make a lot of empty promises. Hey, yeah, they don't really listen to their teams, and they might say, they're keep let's for instance, your CSRs are just constantly complaining about the bathrooms. Yeah, we're going to take care of that. Don't worry. We just need to we need to have a good sales month. Well, we've had a good sales month the last 3 months. Whatever the managers put off on why we can't take care of that today, and take action. That's the huge thing. For instance, in that situation, like, man, I didn't even know there was something wrong with the bathroom. What do we need to do? Well, this and this. Okay, great. I got a guy coming out tomorrow to fix it, and just take that action to get it done within your people and your organization. I say love on your people because that could mean a lot of things, and knowing your team's whys, knowing your people and what drives them, because it ain't money for everybody. I can promise you that, and trying to support those needs, and that helps to get those people fired up to work for you. And again, back to the we don't participate. Helping people block out the negative noise in their life, and trying to teach them that and help them with that is super important, because everything can happen when you go home. Whatever you ran into the door, wife, kids, stress, taxes, whatever it was, if you bring that to work, that's going to affect everybody here at the office, and it's going to infect us like oil on a ship, and it's going to project out in the field when you go out and run those calls. So that's super important, is keeping that negative stuff and negative energy away from the office. But overall, I mean, culture for me is sharing the vision, sharing, you're going back to the open book. That's something that, for instance, if I'm an owner And my ultimate goal is to dominate my industry and become a $50 million company. And I want to make $1.5 million a year. And I don't share that with my team. They have no clue what the hell we're in business for. So share that vision, whatever it is. If you want to be, the best service company in the industry, if you want to be the most profitable company in the industry, if you want to be the fastest growing, whatever that vision is, share it with your team. Get them in the boat. The burn the ships conversation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the full story or not, but we always talk about burn the ships and stuff. Is same thing. Get them all on the ship, rowing for that vision. Have a vision, have a purpose, have the core values, and get everybody on the team lined up with all of that. And that's going to propel you 10 times faster than anything else you can do.
When you went through all of that as you transitioned into your role as GM with Dallas Plumbing, the team was, and the company was mostly commercial. You transitioned it into residential. You had a large turnover in the business. Walk us through how hard that might have been in some cases. And at the same time, maybe it was easy because you were doing what was right for the technician in that.
Yeah, it was a challenge. Hard, easy. Nothing we do is hard or nothing we do is easy. And I don't think anything we do is extremely hard. We're not rocket scientists or anything like that. And we're not using our brains that much. But when it comes to that kind of the transition, the first thing I did was, when I came down here, I started assessing the situation and learning exactly where we were missing the marks and where things were going. And then again, I opened the conversation to these guys that had never seen this before. But I said, guys, just so you know, January, February, this is what we did. This is what our goal was. This is how much money we lost. And it wasn't just we were falling behind target. We were losing money. When I first got here, it was probably the second payroll before I really saw the payroll numbers. And we had done the payroll was $150,000, and we had done like $212,000 in revenue. It's like, you cannot keep going like this. So literally, it's like I called the managers meeting and said, all right, this is the budget. I'm not, and I kind of started asking questions. Do you know what this means? And gauged all of their knowledge and what is, and they didn't know. It was never shared with them. And then I showed them that number. I said, now what do you think? Well, the first thing everybody said, well, what's the fear started coming in. Are we closing the doors? What's going to happen? No, that's what we're doing. We're going to fix this by knowing it. Now we know what we need to fix. And that conversation led to getting my managers to actually be the one. So I knew what our ultimate goal was going to happen. We were shutting down the commercial and the new construction site. I knew that, but I got them to make that decision by showing them the numbers and saying, "Hey guys, what do you think of this?" And the first thing out of the commercial manager's mouth was, "We got to stop this division." And he was the biggest advocate for it before. It's like, this is what keeps us busy. Like, yeah, it does keep you busy. Everybody's out there doing a lot of nothing. But he was the first one to say, yeah, we can't operate like this. We got to shut it down. I'm like, is that what you guys want? They're like, yeah. Because if I would have come in like a wrecking ball and started to shut it down, I'd have been the big bad wolf. Nobody's ever going to follow the culture line with me. But if allow them to make the decisions and then support their decisions with, this is our decision, let's go forward.
And I love the part about allowing them to come to their own conclusions, right? And really enhancing and supporting that. And can't reference Jocko Willenick, his Leadership Strategies and Tactics, phenomenal book. And he even talks about that when somebody comes to you with an idea too. And this is also the converse of kind of the same, but a little bit different. If they come to you and their idea is 80% as good as what you would think it was going to be, let them run with it. Because guess what? Their 80% of their own idea is going to be better than 100% of your idea. Now, 7%, okay, you might have to ask a question or two and lead them to the path. 60%, 50% ask them more questions. And if they tell 30% is good of what you would think, well, okay, maybe you just need to cancel and say, hey, go back to the drawing board and come back. But there's an art to that. How do you plant those seeds within inside of it? Now, education and showing is one thing, but now if you're trying to plant some seeds to be able to allow them to come up with these sorts of decisions on their own, what are you doing in sort of a cultural aspect to be able to help that?
Man, you ask some pretty tough questions.
I like to call them great questions myself.
Great questions. Great questions. I'm sorry. That's a great question. When you were going through that, you actually brought up, it made me think of the book 1 Minute Manager. I don't know if you've ever read that, but it's a good
Jen
book.
Blanchard.
And that it kind of that's kind of that mentality is like when you said their idea is 80% is going to be better than 100% of my idea. And when you go through that, I hired you for a purpose. I put you in this seat for a purpose, and I believe in you. And that's kind of I think this is the answer that I would have for your question is showing them that I believe in them enough to allow them to have that lead. You have enough leash to do what you need to do, and I'm never going to steer you. I'm never going to let you get too far off course. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep you within the guidelines, but I want you to be the driver. And
Sure.
you can swerve. You're going to swerve to the left. You're going to swerve to the right, but stay within the guidelines, and we're good. And once you start crossing or getting close to it, it's like, hey, maybe we could try this. Instead of this is what we need to do. Have you ever thought of trying this this way of doing it?
Sure.
And just proactively, or even in that same state is not let them come to you, but just kind of pepper them with just small little gadgets and gadgets that are going to help them go to where they need to go.
Now, in using that analogy of staying on the road, and if you're swerving too much, let's say they fucking crash and they roll the car. Whoops, they fucked up. Shit happens. How are you handling those sorts of conversations when they've went with something and it's been a catastrophic failure for either them or the business, and etc.
So back to the culture conversation. So again, when I first arrived, my first day here, I said, "Hey guys, collectively come in here," and I had a meeting, and I said through part of that, through part of that whole note that I had to go through was burn the ships, culture, and all of this stuff. But another step was exactly what you just brought up was you're gonna fucking fall. And I'm going to be here to pick you up. You've got a whole team here to pick you up and support you and pick you back up and get you back in the right pace. You're going to fall and you're going to fall off, and we all are going to fall off. And it's not how Will Smith said, fail forward. It's not how far, it's not what you fail, or it's Rocky quotes, all this stuff comes into mind when you're talking like this, but it's not the failures that we come across. It's not getting outside that lane and crashing and burning. It's whether or not you stand up, get up, wipe yourself off, and try again and keep going. I mean, shit, we go out there and do an install and completely screw it up. It's like, what are we going to do? What do you think we should do? Well, I think we should replace everything and start over. Sounds great. Let's do it. What else are we going to do? What else is there to do? You got to. Well, no, I'm just going to leave it like it is, and we're just going to deal with it and let the customers say whatever they want about us and all the other stuff. No, I'm not going to fix the problem, and we're going to make it right and learn from our mistake.
Right, and if that doesn't suffice, you can always just Will Smith it and just slap him. And
I was going to say, Will Smith.
I was killing myself laughing. I'm like, I got to get this in here somehow.
Right, I was going to say, Will Smith had another great quote, and it was, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth."
Oh man.
No, but it's true, right? And
how to bring the Oscars into the 2024 conversation about HVAC?
We always can. Letting go of that is so hard, though, as an owner, because you know the way, you have the answer, you want to give it to them. How do you restrain yourself from overstepping and allow them to step into that role as the leader, make the decision? I love the asking the questions to kind of guide them. Is there anything else that you did to help transition from that helicopter leader or helicopter parent almost into allowing them to step into the role that they needed to be?
I think it's, I think I'm the type of person, and I don't know that this is a good thing, but in those instances, I just start doing it myself. And I think what happens is they realize, oh shit, obviously I must have been doing something, and then they'll come to me and ask questions. Like for instance, I was 2 months into it. I was sitting out in the dispatch room, and it was me and one other dispatcher running the entire company, from the call by call, and I'm dispatching and doing everything. And I think that number one, I think that helped drive the culture and reignite everybody's like, okay, if he's willing to do this, then let's get in there and do it. But I think that's, I tend to do that a little bit too much, I think. And that's just, if you're not going to do it, I'm just going to take it on and get it done. And then hopefully you'll see the fault in pick it up yourself. And if it's obviously something that's a pain for me, it's a task I don't want to do, but I'm doing for you, then yeah, we're going to have a conversation about it for sure.
Right.
Well, nothing's
above to have
right?
that. Yeah, to have that standard as a leader to say, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do.
Correct.
I love that. Well, as we wrap up here, because I know Thaddeus has to bounce. He's got some kids to take care of and a beach to go lay on.
Sandcastles to build.
Well, it's getting a little late in the day. The other kid's gonna wake up, and so I'm gonna give a tip here that if you ever go to an all-inclusive with a 10.5-month-old, just don't do it. Wait until either do it before they can crawl or after they can walk, because the kid can't crawl anywhere because it's scratched, like it hurts his knees. So just
sometimes you got to toughen up those knees, though. You never know what kind of career he's going to get into.
Or another tip that you may want to look at is, if you're going to go to an all-inclusive, just don't take the 10-month-old.
I would have brought my grandparent, like my parents or my in-laws, because they would have just taken the kids, and then we could have actually had a meal out without our kids. Next time.
Lessons learned. Scott, where can people get a hold of you if they have questions, they want to reach out?
I'm right here in Dallas, baby. Come on, bring it on. No, actually, for the company purposes, yeah, you got the website up there, dallasplumbing.com. You can, I'm an open book, and you can put my phone number on there. I don't know if you've got that. There you go. Shoot me a text. I'm available 24/7. I'll answer when I can. Obviously, text
24/7. All right,
for a good time.
My phone is on 24/7. I may not answer 24/7, but I am a late night person, so I do a lot of work at night anyway. So, but anyways, yeah, anybody can text me, call me. Yeah, I respond to text a lot more than I answer my phone.
There you go. So you reach out to Scott. For those listening to this, 719. It will be in the show notes, of course, as well. 822-4393. You can also check out their Facebook page as well, Dallas Plumbing Company for Facebook, and then dallasplumbing.com is their website. You can check out what they got going on there. Scott, as we wrap up, we do have one final question for you, and that is, what is one question that you wished people would ask you more, but they don't?
Exactly the golden nugget that we were talking about back there, and it's what is the it's any question about outbounding, any question about reaching out to customers and creating your own work. I think I talked to a lot of business owners. You mentioned earlier with the million to 3 to 5 to 10, and I've talked to owners that are 50 million plus, and a lot of them just don't know and understand what outbounding can do for their business.
Right.
So that's, anytime the conversation comes up, that's like, you almost wait for them to say exactly that question. It's like, what's gonna help me do the best? It's like, well, what are you doing for outbounding?
No, it's true. It's taking control of your job board, taking control of the future of your business. And when you look at any successful business that has thrived, not just survived through a downturn, but thrived through a downturn, it's because they didn't wait for opportunity to strike. They went out and got it for themselves.
Create it. Got to knock on doors. Got to do something.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
And by the way, Mom, she commented of this that it was so awesome to buy an all-inclusive One Motion vacation. I thought it was the other way around. I thought that you just want to have a great experience with your grandkids, and that you should either just take them by yourselves or bring us so you can enjoy. I would show you what he's doing. Actually, you might even be able to see him out there. Probably not. He's dragging a boogie board on the ground. Not in the water, on the ground.
Scott, this has been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. Congratulations on all the success in running Dallas Plumbing. Honestly, one of my favorite brands that Dan has had the opportunity to redesign with Kick Charge. I love the van wrap that he did. I thought it was so timeless and classic. paying homage to the history of the company. And yeah, I've been a huge fan of it ever since he did it. Yeah, tremendous job in the turnaround that you've done in leading that team and continuing to drive them forward. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a leader in the industry, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time.
No worries. Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.